got to finish whatever Dumbledore started. And I don't know where that'll lead me, but I'll let you and Ron know where I am when I can.
I've always admired your courage, Harry. But sometimes you can be really thick.
Every day, every hour, this very minute, in fact, dark forces attempt to penetrate these walls. Once again, I must ask too much of you, Harry. You must not fail.
You need us, Harry.
Fight back, you coward!
Welcome back to Movie Mentality. Today we're going to be reviewing Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
I wonder who
After
the
watching
Half-Blood
it and
Prince
hearing,
is.
yeah, I wonder
who that
if they
is.
who it is and if they ever reveal it in the movie. Probably not. Before we get into the main plot, a lot of people complain that this is a slow one, that it's just kind of like, I can understand why people would not like it as much. It focuses a lot more on
Character
relationships and
yeah.
character stuff. I've seen so many recommended videos and are not articles but little things saying like what went wrong with Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and stuff
Nothing.
like that. I know it, but like when you think about it, this movie, aside from the fact that I just liked it because it was like funny and entertaining and cool, it's like important.
It is
sets
really
up, like,
important, dude.
yeah,
If you
and I'm
skip
gonna
this one, you're going to skip so
you're
much.
not gonna know.
You're not gonna
like,
know
it's
anything.
basically this movie's important, and I would say it's definitely the most underrated one. I'd say
Definitely. And
like
I think
this and Order of the Phoenix, I would say are underrated. This one a little bit more than Order of the Phoenix, I'd say.
this one gets thrown under the bus. But like,
Yeah,
people are like, it's slow. Oh, it's character stuff. But it's like, if you think about it, Harry Potter has always been about the deep personal and character stuff. Like Harry Potter has action, but it's not like there's action every scene. There's like a climax that usually has action. There's some action scenes in between, and as they get more action packed as they go forward. But it's always been focused on character stuff, you know?
yeah, and like I said this earlier, but I feel like this movie was kind of needed because like again, when you watch a movie, you kind of think, at least I'm not always like this. Whenever it's like a series, like this is 8 movies, I kind of have to feel like, who are these characters? Why should I care about them?
Yeah, it
And
can't
like
just
whenever
be Transformers. Like there's just random
oh
CGI
my gosh,
bits
random
of metal
CGI robot. It's like, oh,
flopping
this is a
around.
main character. So yeah, to basically sum it up before we get into the plot, I really loved this movie. I think it's underrated and it's needed. It gave me, I already liked the characters, but it gave me more of a reason to kind of like side with them, to just see them outside of what they do, outside of like the crazy action stuff that's happening. It was a good movie for characters and I liked it. So yeah, well, I guess without further ado, we're gonna get into the plot now. Okay, yeah, this movie starts out very different from the last one for the
very like, it feels like an emotional start.
Oh yeah, because like it has that like 15-20 second like clip of like Dumbledore and Harry. I'm guessing
at
what
the
would have
end of
been
the last
after,
one. Yeah,
like the events like after the big Voldemort face-off of in Order of the Phoenix. And
Harry's
like they're surrounded.
traumatized, and they're like, get pictures for like articles, which makes sense. But like, when something like that just happened to you, you're like, I just want to go home.
So we're shown London outside of the wizarding world, obviously, and these like you see a skull in the clouds. We see these smoke things. They crash into Diagon Alley. Then they are like flying around and they crash into, or they're like breaking this bridge, and then it's like flailing
They
around.
swirl the bridge around and it like unhinges and like there's
crashes
people
into
on it. Yeah,
there's people on it. It like falls into the water and everything. And then we cut to a train station where we are reintroduced to Harry, which I don't know why he's
more adult-like than ever.
Oh yeah, like I know that obviously they all aged, but like it's just kind of funny with it. Like I'd say whenever in these last 3 movies is whenever Daniel Radcliffe and like Rupert Grint and Emma Watson really start to look like Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint and Emma Watson. You know what I'm saying? Like they start to look like how they do now.
It's funny how their iconic image of those actors is their younger selves in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's kind of
so
funny.
weird. So yeah, we're in a train station. We're introduced to Harry, and he's reading a newspaper, which I don't remember what it like. I think that it has like a
Harry
headline, and it's not like
Potter, blah blah blah, something about
it says
him.
something about Harry Potter, and then oh yeah, and then this like a waitress because he's at like a diner, and she's like, "Oh, Harry Potter."
Who's Harry Potter?
It's like, who's Harry
She's a
Potter? And he's
muggle.
like, oh, he says something. I forget what he says. He's like, oh, it's like he's sort of like
He's just a dude, a famous
he's
dude or
just a,
something.
and then she's like,
I saw a picture move, I swear, and he was
and
like,
he's like,
"Oh."
huh. He's just kind of like, no. So yeah, then Harry looks out of the window of this like it's kind of a weird. I don't know if this is just a thing in London or something. That's kind of a. I thought that was kind of a weird placement for a diner to be like in a train station. Which anybody who's ever been to London or any place with a train station is probably like that's how every single one of them is.
Stupid,
You
you
do.
like stay at your house all day reviewing movies you don't even know.
So
Dun-dun-dun,
yeah, he looks out
dun-dun-dun,
the window.
dun-dun-dun,
Yeah,
dun-dun-dun.
and then like
Avengers level entrance.
quite literally, if you've seen Infinity War,
Oh yeah.
Dumbledore's there. Harry's just like, all right. he
Like,
kind
my
of has
date's
this look on his
off.
face where he's like, all right, yeah, my date's off. So then he goes out there, and then Dumbledore, he's talking to him. He's like, you've been reckless this summer or something like that.
Like, I'm freaking 16. I'm trying to like live it up, you know what I mean? Dumbledore, you're not wearing a mask. Like, come on.
He's like, grab my hand, Harry, or my arm, and then Harry kind of looks back where the girl is, and he's like, do what I say. And then Harry he grabs his arm. And when
Screw
I saw
your
this
date
for the first
for-
time, and they did the crazy apparition effect,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like, and like their
It, like,
faces get all
swirls.
warped for a second, and then they appear. I forget where they appear. They appear like in some neighborhood.
Oh
if
yeah, it's a
I'm-
neighborhood.
So yeah, then they walk in front of this house, and then Dumbledore's like, "Oh, one's out," because it's like the door is broken open. Dumbledore goes up to this chair,
His armchair. There's feet
armchair.
under it. You can see
pokes
the
it.
feet.
He pokes it, and then like this guy, which is Slughorn.
He's an important
um,
character.
Basically, that scene is so Dumbledore can convince him to come back. Oh, well, by the way, the reason why he was like in an armchair is because he was hiding from Death Eaters. But Dumbledore is basically has been trying to convince him.
When you're
to-
hiding from the Mormons.
So basically, Dumbledore's trying to convince Slughorn to take back his position. Like it's like he used to teach potions and then he left.
Mhm.
And he's basically just trying to convince him to come back. And one thing I thought was kind of funny because they have a short little sequence where they fix up the whole house and everything. And after it, Dumbledore's like, "Well, that was fun."
Dumbledore's like, he's a funny guy. He's got a clever and like charming personality that's like, I care about this dude, which
One thing that's kind of set up here is that Harry looks at all the pictures that this guy has, and it's like of all of the students that he has, and Dumbledore as they're leaving, he's kind of like, oh, like he's gonna try to recruit you. Him and Dumbledore leave. Slughorn agrees to teach potions again to come back to Hogwarts. Dumbledore apparates him to this little swampy
Weasley's
area.
house.
And then you look, and then Harry sees that it's the Weasley's house, and it's like, oh yeah, the Weasleys. So then Harry walks in. Oh, by the way, Dumbledore said that Carrie's trunk and Hedwig, he had already like put them there. So like you see, I think
Yeah.
Ginny, she's like, Mom, Harry's here. He's like, no, I think I know if Harry's here. And then like it's like a cool, funny shot because like it's up, it's like from the bottom up, and you can see their heads sticking out. Ron's like, I think I know if my best friend was here. Then Hermione's like, did you say Harry?
Oh my gosh.
He's there, and they're all like, "Oh my gosh, Harry!" Like,
Yeah,
get yourself some friends who are excited to see you, like they are to see Harry.
Yeah, get yourself a friend whose little sister is in love with you. Anyway,
One thing I thought was funny is that Ron's mom, which by the way, like the Weasleys love Harry. Mrs. Weasley, she's like, "How'd you get here?" And then he's like, "I don't know, a Dumbledore." And he kind of uses Dumbledore.
oh,
as,
that's
like,
mad.
she's like, "Oh yeah." Now one thing in this scene that anytime anything happened romance-wise, I was like, "Ooh." You see Ron, and he's kind of like reaching for Hermione's chin. He's like, "Oh, you got this little toothpaste," and it's kind of like, "Okay, we know what's going on." They were in, I think, Ron's room, and they're all talking. Ron's like, "My parents were like considering not sending me back to Hogwarts this year." It's
Like,
like, and
what?
one thing I thought was funny is that he's like, they said it's getting too dangerous, and Harry's like, "It's the safest place ever," and it's
Yeah.
like, No. Like, Harry, do you remember the Chamber of Secrets?
When
Like,
you
what
got
almost
when a
happened?
giant snake poisoned you and then
And
you
if
stabbed
freaking
it.
Dumbledore didn't send a bird, then you would have died. Like, so yeah, basically that scene. One thing I also thought was funny, were like,
How old
I
is
think they were talking.
Dumbledore?
Yeah, I think they were talking about him like stepping down or something.
150.
Yeah, he's like, how old is he? 150.
It's
Like,
like
give or
only
take a few
100.
years. We cut to a rainy
Oh
place,
yeah.
which is this is a very, very important scene. I don't really remember where it is exactly, but
It's
they're
just like a
like,
secret place where I feel like the Death Eaters have like secret places where they can meet in secret or whatever.
yeah, let's just say it's
Undercover.
a Death Eater neighborhood or
Death
something.
Eater hideout
Death
or
Eater
whatever.
hideout.
Bellatrix and Lucius Malfoy's wife.
Our meeting with Snape, which by the way, they for some reason they get Wormtail, but like he doesn't really serve a purpose in that
Oh yeah,
part. Like,
Wormtail's in the house to, I guess, be like keep other people out or something. I don't know.
it's Draco's mom, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to be sure I got that right. So
She's
her and
like,
Snape are talking, and
he's a
again,
boy, he can't do
they're
this.
being cryptic for the sake of like a reveal in the movie. Basically, it's revealed that Draco Voldemort has like chosen him to do something. That's basically what they're saying, and
A
so
big thing, and you don't know
a
what it
big
is.
thing. Yeah, we don't
It'll
know what
come
it is now.
till the end.
And she's like, promise me that you will keep him
Keep him
safe.
safe.
Snape vows that he'll keep Draco safe.
And it's like a
And
contractual like magic thing.
so is this the scene with Fred and George's shop?
Oh yeah, Weasley's. Oh, this is a funny scene.
It's like the most poppin' place in Diagon
Oh
Alley.
yeah, Diagon Alley is like Regency Mall. If you people,
Basically, yeah. Few
whoever like my
people
Jacksonville homies,
in Jacksonville homies watching, it's basically Regency Mall.
and this
So
shows
yeah,
like
but
a scene with a
they
bunch of
kind of
different like
with a different like
products.
products, and one thing that I guess is foreshadowing, like they're like, oh, that's a love potion, and
Oh
then they're
yeah,
like it's kind of foreshadowing, and not like a huge thing, but just like something that's like will come into
oh
play a
yeah.
little bit later.
It's a
So
funny scene later.
Ron comes up with something. He's like, how much for this? It's like
5
5 galleons.
galleons.
Okay, how much for me? 5 galleons. It's like, but I'm
I'm
your
your
brother.
brother. 10
10
galleons.
galleons. And I cracked up when I
Oh
saw
my
that. It
god,
was so good.
How much for this? 5 galleons.
How much for me?
5 galleons.
I'm your brother.
10 galleons.
So then after that, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are kind of walking through Diagon Alley, and they go past Ollivanders. That's what it's called, right?
It's been
Ollivanders.
trashed in this one.
Yeah.
So,
Again, kind of like just to show like the beginning of the movie. That's basically what's been happening to Diagon Alley with like the people, Death Eaters
oh
coming
yeah,
around destroying stuff. So that's basically why a lot of it is like
looks like
empty and stuff.
Regency.
It looks like a Regency Mall. They see Draco. They kind of follow him around, and then they see that he enters this like shop. I forget what it's called. And they see that like it looks like an initiation of some
Oh
sort.
yeah, there's
But
Death
then
Eaters
like
in there and stuff.
yeah, and then I think only Harry sees this. Like I think like Ron and Hermione are kind of like behind, so like they don't see what's happening. Harry's like, "Guys, come on," or something like that. He kind of like calls to them, and then he looks back, and the windows are like blocked off. I think after that we get to just see the Hogwarts Express. They're all on the Hogwarts Express. We're not really introduced to a lot of characters except for like Luna mainly,
She's
and
selling her Quibbler, and she's
their
like,
Quibblers.
Nargles.
Yeah, basically we're on the train, which again, I don't know why I like the Hogwarts Express so much. Like the scenes that we get with it, like how in each movie it kind of changes. Like we get
Yeah.
to see like the actual train like outside of it, and like that one
Yeah.
shot where it goes from the window to the other window
They
to
always
where
have
Harry
cool
and
conversations.
which by the way, I guess it's just because like these characters are like they're the ones like
They're
it's kind of hard to
important.
explain because obviously this isn't real, but like in the movie, like the characters are experiencing it, like we know at this point we know more than the characters do based on just our observation. But like I don't doubt, like I didn't doubt for this for a second that Draco is a Death Eater just because he's clearly like
His
evil in this
dad
movie.
is, and his
Yes,
mom is
exactly,
kind of, I
exactly.
guess.
Which I guess we're supposed to know that before the characters are, or whatever. But like Draco, by the way, one thing I thought was interesting. He dresses in all like in like a black suit throughout the majority of the movie.
Yeah, he looks pretty emo. I'm not gonna lie.
So yeah. Anyway, Draco is. I don't think he says anything of value. So Harry throws a smoke bomb down, which nobody is phased by, and then it's kind of cool because he's literally like he's on top of the little luggage carrier thing,
The luggage
trying
rack,
to listen
basically.
to Drake, the luggage rack, and he's trying to like listen to Draco's conversation, and Draco like knows that he's there.
Yeah, he hears
And
him like
like
move a little bit, and he's basically talking
he
about
sees
I'm not
like
going to be at
yeah, he's
Hogwarts
talking
for
about,
much longer or whatever.
and then he looks up and he sees like his I think like his luggage move just a little bit. And then he knows at that point. So yeah, then they basically arrive at Hogwarts. Draco he like waits for everybody to leave the little train
He shuts
car.
he shuts the
He shuts the
blinds.
door and the
and-
blinds, and he's like,
Yeah, he froze him, and then
yeah.
took his invisibility cloak off and stomped on his nose.
And then
So
so then we see Luna, which like we see the perspective of like her glasses, which I was like freaking out because I was like, whoa, what is this?
this is why you don't
I was
do
like, what is
shrooms,
this?
Luna?
This is why you don't take death sticks.
Oh my gosh.
And doesn't she say something about like his head being full of narcles or something?
It wasn't Nargles, it was something else, but it's basically a fictional creature.
They're walking to like the gate, and then they see Draco and Snape and everybody. And Snape's like Draco's like nice face or something like that. Something
Nice
really
face,
like
Potter.
like
Some pathetic.
nice face. You really got him there, Draco. I think then the next
Gaudy,
scene is
uh-huh.
the Great Hall. I can't remember what Dumbledore tells them.
Careful not to be. You're the greatest weapon of Voldemort. I think he knew about Draco when he said that.
Oh yeah, because then they had a
Which is kinda
shot of
funny
Draco
or
too.
cool.
That was kind of like, all right, he knows. Then we're introduced to Slughorn's potions class. In this scene, we're introduced to what's her face. What is this girl's name?
Was it Lavender or a different girl?
Lavender. We're introduced to
she's
Lavender,
corny.
which
She's
is
so
her
corny.
name. Lavender.
Yeah, her name's Lavender.
Okay, I just want to be sure I was getting that right.
Bro,
So,
she's so corny.
She is. So basically, one thing I thought was funny, they were like, all right, Harry, he's talking to Harry and Ron Slughorn. He's like, all right, get your textbooks. He's like, oh, we don't have any. He's like, oh, just get some from like the cabinet. And then they see one, and one's like old,
They
and one's
dash
new,
for it.
and they grab it. They like are
They
fighting
fight
for
over
it.
it.
Like Ron grabs the new one, and Harry like slaps it with the old
He's
one.
like, screw you.
That one there is Ferrous serum. It's a truth-telling serum. And that one... It's terribly tricky to make, Mrs. Amortentia.
Harry's looking in his textbook that's all like beaten up, and then he sees, because they're like trying to cut something, and then he sees that like in the book it says to like crush and not cut it. So then he crushes it, and it turns out that's because like when everybody's trying to cut I forget what it is, but they're trying to cut it.
It's a certain ingredient.
So
The
like
guy who
Harry,
had the book before had written a bunch of like scribbled stuff out and written new notes, which can be annoying. And
oh yeah, for sure. Whenever I saw that, until I realized that it was helpful, but when I saw that, I was like,
oh my gosh.
because how many times have I opened up my algebra book and it's literally like scribbles
Oh
and
my
drawings,
gosh.
and and like the lyrics to that song "Trap Queen" by Fetty Wap.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
by the way, we kind of glanced over this, but Harry looks in it and it says this book is the property of the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah,
Which
that's very important.
That's very,
based
very
off the
important.
title, you know.
Yeah, whenever I saw
It's a
that, I
little
was
bit
like,
important.
"Haha." A little bit. So yeah, basically Harry makes a very good liquid death potion.
Like, perfect.
And,
And Hermione's hair is frizzled because she was trying, but she like it wasn't as
Yeah.
good, and she was
It is
really
what-
annoyed.
Yeah, Harry makes a perfect liquid death potion, and which by the way, at the beginning of the scene, Slughorn basically told them that whatever student made like the perfect version, he would give them a little bit of liquid luck.
It makes him do
Um,
anything he wants. Like
Oh, yeah,
basically anything he
okay.
does will be like successful.
Let's just quickly sum up the Quidditch scene just so we can get it out of the way, because this
Oh,
is a more
yeah.
important scene in general. So basically Ron is trying out for Quidditch.
I love how Ginny has to get them silent and Harry can't. It's kind of funny.
So they have tryouts, and I
It's
think
Ron versus this other dude who has like this other dude who's basically the douchebag of like the school.
basically
who has a crush
who
on
like on
Hermione.
Hermione, of course. Oh, and he's like, "Do you think you can introduce me to Hermione to Ron?" And I was like, "You better back up, man."
Ron's like, I'm finna wit this.
I can't remember if Ron. I know he got the got on the team, but I can't remember if he was like, I think he was doing pretty bad. And then
Hermione's like,
Hermione
she
kind of
says
whispers a spell. She like whispers it, and then
the other
I
guy
forget the
messes
guy's
up.
name. So he messes up. Ron gets on the team. Then that's basically that. Basically that scene, a fun scene. Ron gets on the team. So yeah, then we have a very important scene.
Dumbledore's office.
Is this Voldemort's memory?
No, it's a memory. He says memories of. This kind of confused me too when he said it.
Oh,
Memories
okay.
he
Yeah.
has of Voldemort.
Yeah, Harry looks in the pensieve, and it's Dumbledore's memories of Voldemort or Tom Riddle, as a kid, and so in an orphanage, Dumbledore kind of goes in there and he's telling him about Hogwarts, and he's basically Tom Riddle. He's like telling
You
him,
have magic.
yeah, he's like, you have magic,
blood.
and he's like, and then Dumbledore's like, I have magic. He's like, no, you don't. Prove it. And then he like sets his wardrobe on fire.
Tom Riddle was he told Dumbledore about like he could move stuff with his mind or make people hurt, which is kind of
Yeah.
disturbing because he's like, I can make people hurt if they do bad things.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, the next one is, oh yeah, they're in the dormitory or the
Common rooms.
the common room.
Like,
Harry's like,
she's, like,
Hermione, have you
staring
heard
at
of this
him,
spell?
and then
She looks so much older. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy to see. And
it
she's
is
wearing
just
like
like
more makeup and like lipstick and stuff, and she looks like a woman. I'm sorry guys, I used to have a crush on Emma Watson, so like I'm noticing stuff.
Ooh. If I'm remembering correctly, then it goes to I forget
The
what place
binding
it's
is
called.
fragile.
The binding is fragile. That's a good line.
Let's have a look, shall we?
No,
Why not?
the binding is fragile.
The binding is fragile.
Yeah.
What is that place that they go to in the next scene?
I can't remember what it's called.
They go to get
basically
butterbeer
butterbeer. It's like a little bar.
at
Oh,
Universal Orlando Studios. Go drink butterbeer at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. We need to make a vlog of us going to Wizarding World of Harry
Yes,
Potter.
dude.
Once we finish this series, that'd be such a good vlog. So yeah, then they're at the Three Broomsticks. Is a funny scene because Ron sees Ginny making
Ginny
out with
Dean
snogging
Thomas.
with is it,
Snogging.
snogging
It's
with
not making
Dean
out,
Thomas.
it's snogging.
Also, they see this is a really scattered scene the way that we're describing it. But like Draco, they see Draco walk into like a room, and that's kind of setting up something. They're walking out of the Three Broomsticks, and then they see some girl, and I can't remember her name. But then they overhear someone else go like, "Oh, I told her not to touch it," and then she's like floating around, and she's like, "Ah!"
Yeah, she gets like hung up in the air.
And then they're like, "Oh, she touched a cursed object." Basically, that's basically what happened to her.
So I just want to say, in case we've missed the scene where Draco goes into the room of requirement to like test out this vanishing cabinet, basically, that it's like implied and told later that it's basically a portal to a different vanishing cabinet, and he puts like an apple in, and then the apple comes back with a bite, so someone had bitten out of it on the other side.
Yeah, that's basically set up throughout a couple scenes in the movie. So yeah, Slughorn's dinner party. I can't remember if there's anything really important revealed during this scene. It is again a lot of, or not a lot of, but it's just kind of like discussion between characters. Like I think it's in this movie that it's revealed that, at least in the movies, that Hermione's parents are dentists. Then is it revealed around that point? Is it revealed about the forbidden memory thing?
Oh gosh, let me look.
We can just be more broad for the like last half of the movie, because like we're getting so much stuff either out of order or
Yeah, it's fine. We're getting the plot. So basically,
we're gonna need to be super. I feel like we're gonna be super descriptive on the last two movies, so we might as well be sort of broad on this one.
We're gonna review them fresh with them fresh in our mind.
Oh yeah, for sure. So
it shows Harry
basically
going into
after the dinner party. Yes, he's going into the pensieve, and he has he sees a memory of Slughorn and Tom Riddle, or young Tom Riddle, where he comes up to Slughorn, and he's like, "I was in the restricted section in the library, and like I learned about
discovered
this
a rare
type
form of magic.
A rare form of magic." He's like, "Oh, what is it?" And then he like says it, but it's blocked out, and so
You
he's
can't
like, "Oh,
hear it, but
yeah, you can't hear it."
moves his mouth.
Yeah, he like mouths it, and he's like, "Oh, like you shouldn't you should like stay away from that magic," or something like that.
Never ask me about that again.
Yeah, and then he gets like thrown out of the memory, and
it's an edited
like,
memory.
Dumbledore's like, "This is why I want you to get to know him to get the real memory.
Because
So
it's important because he has like a theory of basically something about Voldemort that's revealed later, but Dumbledore is not gonna like leave it to chance. He needs to know
he needs to know what it is
like
that
how
is
to kill
blocked out.
Voldemort, basically.
Yeah. So we get a Quidditch game where Ron is, I forget what, I think he's just a goalie or something.
Oh, this
And
isn't. This is. You have to talk about the breakfast scene first because this is important because of the liquid luck. Remember?
oh yeah. I thought it was something to do with the food, but
Oh
no.
no. So Ron's
So yeah,
nervous as
basically,
freak.
Ron's really nervous. Everybody's like, oh, like
He's like, I'm gonna quit
he's in
because
his
I can't take
gear.
the pressure. The pressure.
Yeah, and he's in his gear, and everybody's like, oh, nice like outfit, Weasley. And then so
Everyone's making fun of him.
Ron's basically upset, and then Harry's like, hey,
Lavender talks to him like, "Good luck," and I'm like, "Okay."
and
Just
so
doesn't say anything at all.
Harry's like, I forget what he says, but he's basically like, oh, I gave you the liquid luck. And then Hermione, and you're like his drink, and then Hermione's like, "Don't drink it," and then Ron just drinks it,
Or
and then he's like, "We got a game to win." And then he plays, and he does
he
awesome
gets
and everything.
confident and
He
like
gets super confident.
wins the game.
He wins the game, and everybody loves Ron. And then it's revealed in the common rooms, whenever everybody's celebrating, Harry pulls it out of his pocket, the liquid luck, and Hermione's like, "Oh, you never gave it to him. You only made him think that he had it." And he's like,
Psychological. Psychological.
yeah, and it's like, I was like, haha, like how clever.
This is the scene where Ron kind of lets
Oh my
get to his
God.
head.
And
He's
this,
like, everyone's like worshiping him because he freaking won the game, and then
yeah.
he starts making out.
Uh,
with Lavender,
and then
I'm
Lavender like goes up to him, and they start making out, and I was literally like,
like,
"No!" So then
there's some
Hermione goes
awkward
down
scenes
there.
between them later.
Yeah, Hermione goes goes to like some area.
She doesn't.
and
She's
like,
sad because of it.
she's
Yeah.
like, yeah, she's sad because he made out with her, and she's like crying. At some point it's set up. Well, one, Harry's not yet. I don't think. I think at that point in the movie, Slughorn has like this party set up. He wants them to go. He wants people to have like a date, basically. And
Oh
so,
yeah, and it's kind of like embarrassing
like,
if you don't have a date.
Hermione. The reason why, well, one, Hermione obviously likes Ron, and another
She
reason
wanted
why
to go
she's
with
really upset
Ron,
about
yeah.
it. And so, another one of my favorite lines in the movie,
Oh
she's talking to Harry.
yeah,
She's talking to Harry. And she's
Romilda
like,
likes
oh,
you.
like she's really upset. She's like, that's Romilda. It's like she's trying to just like sneak you a love potion. And Harry's like, really? And
Love
she
potion?
snaps. She's like, she's only
likes you.
interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one. He's like, but
I am the chosen one.
That's Romilda Vane. Apparently she's trying to smuggle you a love potion.
Really?
Hey, she's only interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one.
But I am the chosen one. Okay, sorry. Kidding.
So
Hermione's
basically,
freaking out because she doesn't have a date, and Harry's like, "Couldn't we just go as friends?"
and she's like, "Oh, I already asked someone." Doesn't she say she already asked someone at that point?
Oh yeah, she asked
And
the
she's like-
jerkwad.
Yeah, it's not revealed at that point, but she asked the jerk to annoy Ron, and Harry is going with Luna. So then it's Slughorn's party, and we see like different characters. We see Neville, which like he's like basically he's like a server or something, because like
Yeah,
he couldn't
poor
get
Neville.
in or something. Which poor
Uh,
Neville. I want Neville to do something cool. Like he needs to do something cool. They beat up not beat up, but like he gets the short end of the stick so much. I want
Yeah,
Neville to
poor
do
Neville.
something worthwhile and do something cool with these next two movies. I don't know if it'll happen because it's whatever, but like that's my hope for the next movie, aside from like the general excitement. The next two movies, Neville to do something cool. Snape basically is talking to Draco, and he's like, "I swore to protect you." Draco's like, "Oh, I can do this. Like, I was chosen by Voldemort and everything." And you can see Harry, and he's listening to the conversation. So like now he knows that like he was right about him being, working with Voldemort in some way. So then we are back at the Weasley's house, and Lupin's there, by the way, and they're all talking about, I think, just Draco and just Death
Snape,
Eaters and
he
everything.
was like,
and
Snape was helping him, and he was like, did it ever occur to you that Snape was just pretending to try to get information?
yeah.
Because they're like,
Dumbledore
Dumbledore
trusts
Snape.
him. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, I need to use the bathroom.
Okay.
I am selfish. I am wrong. I am right. I swear I'm right. Swear I'll do it all along, and I am flawed.
I want Chick-fil-A. It's 12:26 a.m., 12:27 a.m., and I want Chick-fil-A. I really wish that McDonald's wasn't the only like fast food restaurant opened at midnight or past midnight because like sometimes we need good food. Because like McDonald's, like I only ever want McDonald's if it's like the last measure, the last resort. Like, I usually just don't care for McDonald's that much. But like I want Chick-fil-A even though it's closed and tomorrow's Friday. Maybe I can actually go get some Chick-fil-A. It sounds so good. Like when fast food just sounds so exceptionally good. I really want Chick-fil-A. This is going nowhere. I just want Chick-fil-A. Raindrops keep falling on my head. Blah 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 blah. Too big for his bed. Nothing seems to fit.
I'm back.
All right. And so then Carrie and Ginny are about to kiss when all of a sudden like freaking fire comes all around in like a circle surrounding the house. And then what's her face? I always forget. Bellatrix. She comes up and she's like ah ha ha.
Bit. No, I'm kidding.
Bellatrix, and she's like basically taunting Harry. So they basically fight off against all these people. They're like in the swamp area, and then like I forget who, but one of them shoots like the Weasley's house and just burns it down. But anyway, we get basically they return to Hogwarts, and like we have a couple of scenes where like Harry and Hermione are kind of walking down the halls and they see Ron and Lavender.
She's like, I'm gonna go vomit.
I think in this scene is whenever Harry goes, or the next scene, one of the next scenes, whenever Harry goes up to Slughorn, he's trying to get the information out of him about the forbidden magic. And he's like asking him the exact same.
The other
day,
like, I was in the library at the
in the restricted section, and he's like playing out the exact same like scenario, basically.
Strange form of magic,
rare form of magic, and he's like, oh yeah, and he's like, and then he just like asked him about it. He's like, no, if you're trying to get me to tell you about like this, like, oh, Dumbledore set you up to this, or something like that.
And he just walks out because he doesn't want to talk about it.
I think that's the. Oh yeah.
Draco did the testing the cabinet again.
Oh, with the bird, right?
Yeah, and then they see Katie who got cursed, and so Harry goes over and Katie's like, I know you're gonna ask, but I don't know who gave me the cursed.
Oh yeah.
Basically.
And then
so he turns around,
and then Draco's kind of like running out of the room, and then he follows him. He follows Draco and he goes into the bathroom. And Draco, as much as it's kind of weird because like I don't like Draco as like a character, like not like as a bad character, but like he's like the jerk character.
Yeah, you love to hate him.
Yeah, you love to hate him. Like
he's a good character because
even though like he was like a jerk and everything, the bully basically. Like I found lines like in the first two movies, like look at that, Potter, you got yourself a girlfriend. Like Harry had some pretty good. I mean, Draco had some pretty good lines, like in the Quidditch scene in the second one, where he's like, "Training for the ballet, Potter." It's just like lines like that where it's just kind of like it's funny. So like in this movie, like even though I don't like he's a jerk, I kind of felt bad for him because like he's like crying. You can definitely tell it's taking like a toll on him. So then Harry's like, I know that you were the one that did it. Then he like throws something, and then they basically start fighting with like their wands.
Wand duels.
And then and then
like
Harry
break the whole bathroom.
Yeah, they break
the underside of the toilets and stuff.
And then Harry's like Sectum Sempra, and then
because he saw it in the Half-Blood Prince
in the book, which it starts. Yeah, and he hits Draco and he flies back, which like I didn't see before. I saw Draco on the ground, and in my reactions, I was like, oh, he's not down yet. And then like you see that he's like bleeding, and then he's like crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like,
it like
I was
slices
so not ready.
People.
Yeah, I was so not ready for that. And I was like, again, that made me feel bad for Draco because, like, even the way the whole scene's going on, you can tell that Harry like didn't realize it,
Oh yeah, he didn't want to kill Draco.
Yeah, like he didn't want to kill him. Like you can see, like in his face and in the music, it's kind of he feels like remorse for doing it. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, like he didn't mean to do that.
And then Snape comes in and heals him.
Oh yeah, and heals Draco. Then the next scene is, and again, it kind of shows that Harry didn't really mean to do that. He's talking to everybody, and he's basically agreeing to hiding, to like having the book being taken away from him. So him and Ginny go into the room of requirement, and she's like, close your eyes. And then she hides the book, and then she kisses him. I think the next scene, Harry's basically like, I need to get this memory from Slughorn. So he drinks the liquid luck, and he's all like happy and upbeat. He's like, "How do you feel?" And he's like, "Excellent." He's like, "Really excellent." And so like he runs into the Slughorn, and so
At
he's like, "Oh,
the
I'm gonna go at
what
the
place? The
the
botanical
botanical
gardens.
gardens, the botanical
Uh,
gardens of Hogwarts." And he's like, and so he's basically talking to him. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Hagrid's hut." And then he's like, "Oh, no, you can't do that. It's like way too late." And he's like, "Oh, then come with me." So he basically
because you're a
convinces
teacher,
him.
yeah.
So then he goes to Hagrid, and by the way, giant spider,
Aragog is
Aragog,
dead.
he was
Saddest
like,
Harry Potter death, I'm
saddest
telling
Harry
you.
Potter death, Aragog.
The one who tried to eat them in the second one.
And the next scene, I think Slughorn gets,
And
I think he gets drunk, doesn't
he
he?
gets drunk with Hagrid and they're singing.
And
And
they're
Harry
singing,
just
and then
is so thrilled.
Harry's just like watching them. And if I remember correctly, Hagrid literally falls asleep.
They're talking like drunk talk. He's like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's just life. 1 minute you're there, the next minute, poof.
Yeah,
Talking about his
Hagrid.
goldfish disappearing.
Oh yeah, yeah, about his pet goldfish from who knows how long ago. So that Hagrid falls asleep, and then basically he confesses to Harry. Basically, at the end of the scene, he agrees to giving Harry the memory, and then he takes it to Dumbledore. Then, very, very, very important scene.
Very, very.
They put the memory in the pensieve, and they look at the memory now completed. It's the same scene basically. So young Tom Riddle goes up to Slughorn. He's like, "Oh,
It's in the restricted
I was in
section
the
in the
restricted
library.
section. I blah blah blah, rare form of magic." It's like, "Oh, what is it?" It's like, like there was a term like Horcruxes, and then
And then he's like,
and
that's a
then
very, very dark stuff indeed.
at that point, does he basically tell him what it is?
He's asking
like,
like, so he doesn't understand. He's like, I don't understand. How would you make it? He's like, basically, you'd put your soul. You'd have to rip your soul apart and put it into pieces of physical
and like,
objects.
and he's like, how many? He says something along the lines of like, how many could you make? And then he's like, how about 7 or something like that?
He's like,
And
7.
he's like,
Not to mention
like,
just killing 7 people, but ripping the soul into 7 pieces. He's like obviously freaked out at Tom's like dark questions. Like it's all for academic purposes. He's like,
and he's like, of course.
he just sits there for a second and he's got this evil smile. He's like, of course.
So after that, they view the memory. They're they know what a Horcrux is, and they know that Voldemort has 7 Horcruxes, and so
Dumbledore's like, this is worse than I could have imagined, because he expected like 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, but like 7.
My God,
So
7.
So then he goes into his desk and he pulls out Tom Riddle's diary, which,
the
by the way,
second
when I
one.
saw that, I was like, of course it's a Horcrux.
It makes sense because it literally had a part of him in it.
Of him. It's
His
like
soul,
16-year-old
like,
self.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, and I was like,
And
of
it killed
course,
him
that's
off.
genius.
It killed
and, like,
that portion of him off, which is literally
Yeah.
like, it makes sense that that's part of his soul
It makes
because it was him.
Yeah,
from
because it was
when he
him.
was
Yeah,
17.
exactly. So they have 2 Horcruxes, one of which
Oh yeah,
is
and
destroyed.
this is something we didn't mention, but from the beginning of this movie, Dumbledore's hand is like burnt. You don't know why until he tells him that when he destroyed the Rain Horcrux.
Or no, I don't think he destroyed it, because they have that scene wherever like it spins around for a second,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like like Voldemort's face pops up and it like spins around. So like he tried to destroy it, and
but
that's
it
why
burnt
his
his
hand.
hand.
Okay, Dumbledore basically knows where one of the Horcruxes is,
Because he
And
can
it's
he can
in-
track magic.
They go to the astronomy tower. They apparate to this.
He's like, I thought we couldn't apparate. Or no, Dumbledore. Important thing. Dumbledore's
oh yeah,
like,
doesn't he say?
he's like,
yeah,
you must
go.
do whatever I say.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you're to come with me, including run. If I say run.
And doesn't he say something like, I thought we weren't allowed to do this in school? It's like, being me has its like fair share advantages, or something like that, or privileges.
They apparate to this rock in the ocean. I'm assuming
Yeah,
they apparated into the cave they didn't swim.
So they're in this cave. Then they come across this little thing. This like, is it just, what is it that he has to drink?
I
know they
think
explained it, but I forgot.
It's something I wish they would say like in the movie or show, because people there's something here that people could say as a plot hole, but it isn't. People could just be like, why don't you just scoop out the potion? But it's like, it's magic, so it knows if you're not going to drink it and you can't get your hand through it. That's the concept. You can't get in there at all.
They kind of show that with the water too. Like, if it can block out the actual water that Harry tries to give to Dumbledore, like, like, Anyway, so
Yeah, there's magical stuff going on.
so there's just like liquid stuff,
I think it put him through like torture or like reliving like nightmares or
past
like
horrors and everything.
trauma or something like that.
Yeah, and so like he's like, no matter what I say or do, you have to keep on letting me drink this until it's gone. So like another scene where I was like, oh my gosh, like he keeps on like giving it to him, and he's like, no, please
It's
stop. And
so
then like,
emotional,
yeah,
dude.
it's so emotional,
This
and
whole
like
scene with the cave is it's like
it's so like I was like tearing up watching this when he's
yeah.
drinking it, and it's like the music, and he's like
He's like,
freaking out. I was like,
I
oh my
promise it's
god.
almost done. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
After a while, he gives him all of that stuff, and then he is able to grab the Horcrux. And so he's like, "Give me water."
We can't get the water that he
Yeah, he
makes.
tries to he tries to make water in like the thing that he's scooping out the other thing with, and he can't get it. So he tries to get water from like the actual lake, and he gets grabbed and pulled into it by like these weird little things, and then
For like
like
zombie creatures. He
so
uses a
yeah,
bunch of spells to try to keep them
to try to
off,
like
like including
fight them
Sectum
off.
Sempra.
He gets pulled under the water, and then like I thought it was really cool because like he's underwater, and then he sees like above him like everything's turning
Dude.
red, and then like he comes above the water. Freaking Dumbledore is like
He's
it's like
swirling like huge flame.
swirling
Dude,
fire, and it was like
remember back in one of those reviews when I said there's a part in Half-Blood Prince that makes me like tear up and cry, but it's not like
yeah,
particularly sad. It's this part. It's the music with what's happening in the context. It's like his last
yes,
stand. It's
yeah,
Dumbledore's last stand.
just knowing
Rewatching
what
this
happens
movie
next.
is difficult, but it's
Oh
really
my
good.
gosh.
It's sad.
So
Oh my god.
I know it's just so then they return to Hogwarts, and
He's like, he was like, I need to
I
get
need
you to the
you
hospital wing. And he's like, I need Professor
I
Snape.
need Professor Snape, which
He's like, don't talk to
is
anyone,
there
just get
is
Professor
there a
Snape.
reason is there a reason for that?
Mm,
Is it spoilery?
let's just get it going on.
Okay, let's just keep going.
Let's just move
So
on.
okay, so yeah, he's like, we need to get to the hospital wing. He's like, no, bring me Professor Snape. So Harry is about to go to the hospital. I mean, to get Snape, and then he goes like underneath where they are. Then he hears footsteps, and he sees someone going up the stairs. And then it's Draco. Draco's like basically he's talking to Dumbledore, and he like disarms him with Expelliarmus.
I heard you
He's
talking. It's like I'm talk to myself sometimes.
Draco again, like another scene, like there's a lot that's said in this scene, but like,
He does not want to kill Dumbledore.
oh, first of all, while Draco is talking to Dumbledore, you can see all the different people, like Death Eaters and stuff, come out of the vanishing cabinet.
He's like,
So,
you're no assassin, Draco, and he basically figures out he's like, you're the one who tried to poison me and tried to get me the cursed.
yeah, and to get him to touch the cursed
thing. He
object,
was like,
and so
I know your heart wasn't in it because these were pathetic, basically.
Draco's like I can't. He's chosen me, and he shows him the tattoo
He's
like
like,
that Death
you
Eaters
don't
have.
understand. He'll kill me if I don't kill
Like
you.
he'll kill me, and Draco's like almost crying. And again, like this scene like made me feel bad for Draco because I was like, oh my gosh, like you could tell he doesn't want to do this, and he even
Yeah.
says that he's like, I don't want to do this. And it's like Harry underneath them is like pointing his wand at I forget who. I think Draco. I think he's pointing it at, and then
Mhm.
Snape. He sees him, and then like
All the
Snape
Death
kind of like
Eaters come up.
yeah, all the Death
first.
Eaters are there,
And
and then
then
yeah, they're all like surrounding or like in front of
like,
Dumbledore.
Draco, do it.
Yeah,
You
like
don't
do
have
it,
the
Draco, and then
stomach to kill him or whatever.
yeah, and then like yeah, Snape is next to Harry. He kind of like shushes. He doesn't shush him, but he kind of like puts his finger. He does like the shush motion, and then he like goes up there, where Draco is, and so they're all like talking
Oh
and
my
everything,
gosh.
and then like okay, there's a lot that's said in this scene, and then freaking Snape.
Because
He's like,
even Harry
okay.
trusted Snape.
Yeah, even
Harry
Harry
was
trusted
like,
Snape.
because okay, I wanna go back before we do this to something
Yes.
that we didn't mention in the Order of the Phoenix. Whenever Umbridge had them captured in her office, and she was like, "I'm gonna use the Cruciatus curse because y'all are trying to contact Dumbledore."
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And Snape's like, "I don't have truth serum because you used it on every student." Then Harry's like, "They've captured Padfoot at the place where it's hidden." Umbridge is like, "What's he talking about? What's he talking about, Snape?" Severus, and I haven't the faintest clue. But he's the
Yeah.
one who told them. He's the one who who told the Order of the Phoenix they were there, and that's why they came in that movie. But yeah, that's basically another reason why they trusted Snape, which
Yeah.
just makes it more heart wrenching because it's like,
Yeah. So like, you know, Harry's watching it.
Dumbledore says,
He says
he says
something. I forget what.
Severus, please. And I'm like,
Oh my
no,
gosh, please. And then
it's like Avada Kedavra.
Avada Kedavra, and then
And
he
Harry's
knocks him
face is
out,
like
and Harry's
freaked
like,
out.
one, it was the fact that like he died, because like believe it or not, I did not know that Dumbledore died. Like
I'm
that,
surprised. I
like
thought you did.
I'm surprised too.
Because
Like no, I did not.
when
It was
before I read it, people had told me.
so like one, it was the fact that he died, and two, I was expecting Draco to do it. Which if Draco did it, I would still be like no. But at the same time, they were like building that scene up. So if Draco did it, I would be like, I would, it would be expected. But like the fact
Yeah.
that Snape did it, especially after like kind of like signaling Harry, just like like being down there with him and then going back up and just killing him. I was like,
Yeah.
no way! And then he just like knocks him over the thing off the tower, and
Oh
then
my
he
gosh,
just
dude.
dies. And then I was like freaking out. And then like all the Snape and Draco and the Death Eaters, like they're like destroying everything. Well, mainly the Death Eaters compared to like Snape, they're like destroying like the
Like
Great Hall and like the
screaming and
windows
stuff
and
and
everything, and they're like, yeah, and then like they go to Hagrid's hut. They do a
And
couple
they-
more things, but they go to Hagrid's hut and they like burn it, which I thought that Hagrid was in there, and I was like, no,
No,
I
you
was
can't
like,
just kill Dumbledore and
oh
then kill
my
Hagrid.
gosh,
No.
I know, especially off screen, like they're not gonna show him at all. I
Hagrid
was like,
is a good character. You can't
oh
just
my gosh. I was like, no, he can't die. It was they were whenever he was in the next scene, I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, and another thing that like what got okay, I'm not even gonna lie, I cried during this movie.
me
Like
too.
I cried during this movie, and one thing that got me to cry is the way Harry screams stuff. He was like, "Snape, he trusted you," and I was like, "Oh my
Oh my
gosh!" And then he
gosh.
like wrote, and he tries to use a couple spells on him. He's like, "Oh, you're using the spells that I taught you," and then he like throws him back, and then like they say
Like,
a couple
I am
things
the
in the
Half-Blood
Half-Blood
Prince.
Prince. I can't remember how they leave. I can't remember like if they just apparate or if they just like
They walk
like
away first.
oh they just walk
I think
away.
you can't
and so,
apparate in
into the
in
forest,
Hogwarts.
right?
Yeah, they had to leave the Hogwarts grounds before they can apparate.
So they leave.
And then they go into the courtyard and everyone's in there.
Oh my gosh,
my
everyone's
gosh.
there, and then you
Oh.
just see Dumbledore's dead, and then everybody's
And
like crying, and they all like raise their wands and with
to
the
like destroy
with
to
the
cancel
Lumos spell, right?
Yeah, to cancel the skull in the sky.
Yeah, the skull in the sky,
Dark
and
mark.
like I was like crying, and I was
too.
no.
And when he
I was
like sees Dumbledore and he's just he gets the Horcrux and he's like, was it worth it? Basically, like
yeah, it's just oh my gosh. So they cut to Harry, Ron, and Hermione at the astronomy tower, and they're basically talking about what happened. Basically, by the way, they said earlier, whenever Dumbledore was alive, he was like, they said if they destroyed all 7 Horcruxes, then they could kill Voldemort.
yeah.
So
that's
that
like
yeah,
their
that's
mission.
basically
They have
that's
to do
their
that.
mission for the next 2 movies. I assume. So
Also, Harry, he's like Hermione opened the locket that they found that was a Horcrux, and he's like, it's fake.
oh yeah,
And it
oh yeah,
has
and
the
it had a
initials.
note with like R.A.B, which I have no idea who that is. To basically wrap up the movie, they're in the astronomy tower. They're having like
Harry's
we're
like,
gonna
I'll write to you guys when I'm finding the Horcrux. And she's like,
yeah,
Harry,
and then they're like.
you can be pretty thick.
Another thing that's in this that it's set up in this scene is that Hermione's like, Ron's okay with it, by the way. It's like, what with you and Ginny? And he's like, you might want to
Ron's
keep
just sitting
snugging.
there.
He's just kind of like, eh. It's like you might want to keep the snugging down to a minimum whenever he's around or something like that. And then they basically all agree that they're going to find the Horcruxes together. The movie fades out, and that's pretty much Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
We have a plan.
I know, but I've got a really good feeling about Hagrid's. I feel it's the place to be tonight. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Final verdict on this movie. I really, really loved this movie. I thought it was emotional in like the best ways, and it was a good character-based movie that I felt was needed. Considered like, it's like it can't always just be crazy stuff happening.
You can't be Michael Bay.
Stuff has to matter. And like
and
they have to
matter,
show us why it matters, which it does matter, and I loved this movie.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Should we rate this now?
Yes, I have my rating.
I think I have
it.
mine
I've had it
too.
for like 3 days now.
In 3, 2,
two,
1, 9.5.
5.
Yo.
Yes, dude. So that was our review, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching our
Harry
review.
Potter and the Order, and I mean,
the Order. Frick.
the Half Prince.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Do, 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 do.